Hello and welcome to another video where we discuss about travel tips and itineraries. In today's video, the focus is on the Schengen visa. More specifically, we'll be talking about what VFS doesn't tell you about the Schengen visa, and maybe this could help you in processing your visa. So let's dive right into it without wasting any time. You might be knowing that each of the visas, right, Schengen countries, they have their own directive in the URL. So if you go to VFS Global, you'll have India and then you have the European country you're applying for. For in this case, this is Austria, right? And you can find every information that you need for filing the visa in the website. You will probably get a visa application form which you can download from there, and you will also get a specific page for all the documents that are required for the specific country. It is worthwhile that you check what exactly are the documents required for the specific country, because sometimes it does vary from one Schengen country to another and depends on where you're applying to. The same goes for the form. For example, for Austria you would get an offline form to fill up, but for France you have to fill it up online. So there's a validation that happens online and you get a generated form, printable form, once you fill it up. Once you've submitted your visa, you can also track your application directly from this website, and you don't need to rely on the messaging service for that. So make sure the URL is correct whenever you're tracking your application, otherwise you'll get a 400 status. You can just fill in these things and you should be able to track your visa application. The next information that I want to share is that usually the Schengen visas are issued with a duration of 90 days from the date of your arrival at the Schengen country. So for example, if you arrive on the 22nd of June, your visa will be valid till 21st September. So this is also the reason why you must ensure that your passport is at least having validity of 3 months from the date of your travel when you apply for a Schengen visa, just to be on the safe side. One more important point that is sometimes skipped by tourists is that you must apply to the country you're staying for the maximum duration in the Schengen area. If you are having like 3 days in Paris and 5 days in Switzerland, you should be applying for a Switzerland visa. If by chance you are having the same duration in all countries, then you should be applying for the country you're entering the first. And do not forget to apply for a multi-entry visa when you're hopping in multiple Schengen countries. Usually backpackers and professional travelers, they will book 2 to 3 months prior to their travel dates. So this gives you enough room and buffer time to reapply in case like anything goes south and your visa is rejected, or by chance the visa process is taking too much time. So usually visa processes take anything around 15 to 20 days in my experience. It hasn't been more than 20 days for me till now after applying to 3 Schengen visas. But sometimes in some cases, like for example Croatia, right? Croatia actually got onboarded into the Schengen area just last year, and they still take a little more time to process your visa. So if you go to their website, you will see the SLA is still 15 days, but they ask at least a 60-day buffer time so that everything is processed. But in case like you have some sort of urgency for traveling, what I usually do is I mention that in my cover letter. So whenever you are submitting a form, you have to give a cover letter as one of your documents. And so in that cover letter, you can actually mention, hey, I have a trip within like 10-15 days, or I have this process in the next 10-15 days. I need my visa to be processed before that time, at least 3-4 days ahead of that. And usually I have seen in my experience that the embassy does entertain these things whenever possible. So they will try to aid to your request and try to expedite your visa. I have received some of my visas as fast as 7 days whenever I mention this. But you have to have a proper requirement for expediting your visa process. It's very important that every document that you submit to the VFS, it has to be a genuine document, because each of these documents, for example, if you are giving your bus ticket, or if you're giving your airline tickets, if you're giving your booking details, each of these things are actually manually verified. You might get away with it, but in most cases VFS does manually verify each of these things and check that your trip is genuine and you have complete information to prove that you are returning back to your country. That is what they want to see, as well as your financial documents. So they do check for a certain amount of bank balance in your financial statements. Another reason of rejection is if you have shown a bank account statement of a bank which is not really active and it has far less transactions than what you would expect. Salaried employees need to show their no objection certificate from the office as well, and they do verify the legitimacy of your office by checking up the email address or the office address or the office landline number. So make sure that the NOC template from your office has these three things. Make sure you utilize this checklist document and verify each of the documents yourself before your appointment. Do not rely on the VFS operations person at your desk to help you out with the documents, because they are not always accurate and they might miss things or overlook things, and that might be a reason for visa rejection. In some cases, I have seen that their jurisdiction is not really consistent and not always meaningful. So in the next part, I'm going to show you a few examples of how VFS or your visa application might be rejected if VFS doesn't find your documents to be reliable. So this is an example of a rejected visa application. If they don't see that your documents are in order and they are not reliable, they will give you this rejection letter instead of a visa stamp on your passport, and this will come either by courier or by you will be called to the VFS office. And over here they will mention the reason for rejection in the other remarks section. For example, you're seeing that the information submitted regarding the purpose and conditions was not reliable, and there are doubts that your intention to leave the territory is not confirmed, right? So this is one rejection which was made for one of my friends, and the reason was one of the bus tickets were not consistent with the rest of the itinerary. The other rejection doesn't really make sense. So this application, despite being completely correct, was rejected because of certain details missing in the office NOC letter, because there wasn't a mentioned landline or an office email address. So this happens when you're really unlucky, and it doesn't really happen that often, because 90% of visa applications are successful anyway. But you can always appeal against the decision to the embassy by sending out an email and trying to contact with the VFS as well. But I would suggest, in case your visa is rejected by any chance, you go for another visa and you keep that in enough buffer time that you are able to file and receive another visa before your travel date. There is also that premium lounge service. In the premium lounge service, what happens is they charge a premium amount of money, but it doesn't really expedite your visa process, and they will verify the documents at least from their side to see everything is in order and inform you if anything is missing, and they will do it accurately. And also sometimes if you opt for premium lounge, you will also get a EU SIM card, but not always is it applicable. I usually do not recommend the premium lounge service for people who have already traveled to the Schengen place. And if you haven't watched this video, it might be helpful for you as well. And one final point I really want to focus on is if you already have multiple visas stamped in your passport, you have a good travel history of going and returning back from a country, you're having a much easier time getting approved, because this really matters. And in this case also, like maybe half of your documents will be overlooked because the embassies now have a certain amount of trust in you for being a good traveler. So this is why I encourage people to always keep traveling, explore different countries, soak in their culture, and keep watching my videos and sharing these videos so this information reaches a million more people and we are more informed and responsible travelers. For more such videos and informational content, do like and subscribe to my channel, and please share this video with all your friends who are trying for a Schengen visa